what's it called? Norsk Oil og Gass. I think it might have just changed its name actually, but it's basically the industry organisation, inverted commas, lobby group for oil companies or oil industry, not just the companies but the service providers as well. In Norway, is headed by Erik Schjøtt Pedersen, who is used to be in the cabinet for the last government, not the current government. So that shows you how they've chosen a person that's got so much network into the workings of the Norwegian government system. So this is a man that can phone up anyone in Norway and get an answer and get a meeting with them or look at the advertisement campaign that Equinor is running at the moment. I think I sent you a link.
I've also seen it on Aftenposten.
Equinor doesn't have any end customers in Norway. It doesn't. When you go to a petrol station, you can't buy Equinor oil, or Equinor petrol, or Equinor diesel. You can't go to the shop and buy an Equinor thing. So why are they advertising? Without even reading the content of the advert or how much money they spent on that campaign, the fact that they're doing that indicates that they're trying to sway opinion in the public opinion and in politics, using. I don't think they're very transparent. That's another high horse, but another issue.
Transparent on.
They're not on spending on. So how much money does Equinor, for example, or Aker or whoever it is, spend on lobbying or advertising? A shitload, I would guess, but I don't think they're very transparent about that. So they've got this massive glossy advert campaign with videos and find all the pretty people in Equinor and try and make it homely and or personal, and they're trying to influence politicians and people. So they're buying public license. So they're using their clout to the maximum of their ability to allow continued oil and gas extraction. And
so
that's
that means
it's not fair, I don't think, and it's certainly not very democratic because, like I said before, the people on the other side of the equation, and it's not black and white as that, but people on the other side, they're like some local milieu politician or some Greenpeace guy with no funding, or like they've got some charity donations, and on the other side you've got an oil lobby which Shell and BP and ConocoPhillips and Equinor and all these people give millions and millions of dollars to. That's somewhat unbalanced, I'd say.
So in the case of Norway, who do you think has the sort of decision-making power when it comes to the fate of the industry? Is it the politicians or is it the industry, considering what you just told me about sort of lobbying? Who decides where things are going to go?
At the moment, there is... it's a system of like an interlinked system of politicians and industry and interest groups, or what you call it, all linked together, influencing the sort of momentum of where the decision is. But at the moment, industry and the Norwegian government are pretty much aligned. So the right wing in Norway, Norway context, right wing Høyre government, and they for continued oil extraction, not doing that much on energy transition. So they're aligned with industry, which also obviously wants to continue making shitloads of money, and also because of the Norwegian ownership of Equinor and tax system, one earns the other money as well. So
You're describing the sort of Gutteklubben situation, right?
So again, the
Gutteklubben, this boys' club.
Gutteklubben,
On a sort of larger scale.
It's more than that, but so, you asked about the decision making. Who was making it, or who was in position to make it?
Yeah, because you said it's a sort of network between industry and politics.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, the technical answer is there's the government making laws that makes the decision, but they'll make their decisions based on pressure from industry and pressure from the public. So industry and government at the moment, like I just said, is quite aligned, so that's okay. But probably the industry is aware that there's a chance that public opinion is drifting away from where they are, and that's why they're spending a lot of money on trying to win the back again, saying that oil's part of the solution or Norwegian gas is cleaner and greener than Arabian gas, so we need to keep doing this, and poor people in Africa need Norwegian oil to something nebulous about that, which is bullshit in my opinion, but they're spending a lot of resource on trying to pull the public opinion, win the public opinion back, so that the public don't then influence the government through the normal.
I'm not sure how it is in your circles, but for me, I've noticed over the last months that the general public isn't actually too bothered about all of it. You know, they read the news and they might speak about it once in a blue moon, but it's not like this is dinner table conversation every night. I think even amongst the sort of intellectual middle classes, I recently had a conversation at a dinner with three or four doctors at the table, so educated people, and they said, Equinor, Statoil, is one the good one and one the bad one? So I think there's people who haven't even noticed what was happening with the name change and the sort of rebranding. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's something you've noticed, because maybe your friends are more within the industry. But I've been surprised, because also one of my impressions, or sort of one of my preconceptions about when I came here, was that everyone was constantly discussing oil and whatever, energy, climate change, but that is certainly not the case from what I have experienced.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There's a lot less general interest in that kind of stuff, and probably it's been a sort of background theme for quite a while, so probably some people are fed up with it. Or generally just not interested because it doesn't affect their day-to-day lives. Maybe if you press them on it, they're saying, oh yeah, it's a good idea that we have more renewables or whatever, or more recycling or whatever, but only if you press them. Normally they're worried about going home and doing their yoga or their training or paying the rent or what's on Netflix this evening, or that kind of stuff.
Or finding a good sale somewhere.
Distracted by other stuff, which is a shame. But you said you made that point after I was saying that the industry were trying to influence public opinion. So recently in Norway there's been climate strikes, Klimastrike.
Inspired by the general sort of Western movement, right?
Yeah, and a little bit of a wave with Greta Thunberg and maybe some wins for green parties elsewhere in Europe, and also in Oslo in the recent Kommunevalg, the MDG did reasonably well.
But still, I think compared to, I know we've had this conversation before, but I think compared to what's going on elsewhere in Europe, for example, Germany, it's still more tame, I think.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So highlighting those things to demonstrate why industry might be worried and why they're kicking off all these advert campaigns. But that doesn't necessarily reflect that the total